Okay, this video is on computing fractions. The first thing we are going to explore is how to multiply fractions. So the first example, this should be one that's from your summer math packet, is 3.5 times, and this means times, and this also means times. Parentheses also indicate that. Sometimes you'll see parentheses because you have a negative sign. So it's 3.5 times negative 2.5. When you're multiplying, the first thing you're going to do when you see a mixed number is change it to an improper fraction. The way to do that is you multiply 2 times 3 and add 1. So 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is going to change to 7 over 2. And we are multiplying that by a negative number. So I'm going to put my negative sign there so I don't forget it. We're going to change this one, 2.5, to an improper fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 5 over 2. And with multiplication, all you need to do is multiply across and then simplify. So 7 times 5 is 35, and again, that's negative. And 2 times 2 is 4. And at this point, you have simplified your answer because 35 divided by 4, there is no whole number that you can divide evenly into 35 and 4. So that is simplified. You could also change it to negative 8 4/3, which is actually the exact same thing. Okay, if you wanted to, but I will accept the improper fraction. Let's move on. So the second example I have is negative 2 1/3 times 4/6. Same thing. One of these is already in fraction form like you're used to seeing. This 2 1/3 needs to be changed from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is going to now be negative 7 over 3. And we're multiplying that by 4 over 6. And again, same exact thing, we multiply across. So 7 times 4 is 28, and we know that this is negative, because a negative times a positive is always a negative. So negative 28, and 3 times 6 is 18. And yes, we could have simplified before we multiplied, which I do recommend if you know how to do that. However, I'm just trying to just show you the basics right here. And so at this point, we have negative 28 over 18, which means 28 divided by 18. Because this is an 8 and this is an 8, we know that we have two even numbers, so it's definitely divisible by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2, and if you do that, you'll end up with negative 14 over 9. Final answer. Let's take a look at division. If we divide 4 1/6 divided by 3 1/2, do the exact same thing you did with the multiplication. 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1 is 25. So we have 25 over 6. And keep the division sign for now, divided by 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 over 2. Now we're going to use that keep, change, flip. And if you're not sure why, that's another video we can explore if you would like me to. So we're going to take the first fraction and leave it as it is. So rewrite it, 25 over 6. When we say change, so we're going to change the division to its opposite, multiplication. And then we need to use the reciprocal of 7/2 or flip it. So we're going to flip this. So we're going to put 2 over 7 to multiply by 25 over 6. Now, if we multiply across, just like this would be a multiplication problem, we're not flipping anything anymore. We've done that. The only time you keep, change, and flip is if you see a division sign between two fractions. So you change it to multiplication, and then you flip only the second fraction. multiply across. 25 times 2 is 50. And 6 times 7 is 42. Obviously, it's in two even numbers. You can, again, divide by 2. And of course, you could always simplify first. And you'll end up with 25 over 21. Final answer. Let's take a look at this one. 36 divided by 1.5. Well, remember, whenever you have a whole number, you can always put a 1 underneath it to make it look like a fraction, because 36 divided by 1 is just 36. So let's rewrite this in the format that we're used to. Make sure you rewrite the division sign. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, so over 3 halves. Now we're not multiplying across yet because this is still a division sign, so we want to do the same thing we did with the last division problem. We are going to take 36 over 1, keep it, change this to multiplication, and then we are going to flip the 3 and the 2. So times 2 over 3. And then just do it like a multiplication problem. You're going to multiply across, and you're going to end up with 36 times 2 is 72, and 1 times 3 is 3. 72 divided by 3, they're both divisible by 3, so you would end up with 24.